Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
We're here to have an interview with Eugene Suslo, who's our founder and CEO of Onde. Obviously, the discussion today is really much about not the revenue, not the numbers that Onde brings, but more about the culture, as well as the inspiration of where Onde was established from, and of course from its co-founders and the team members here, the direction that Onde is going in for the future. Now, my question probably is what is Onde, and what is behind the name?
Right. So it's this year is going to be 10 years actually since we started Onde. It used to be called Taxi Startup back in the days, and it started with a simple idea to improve how you hail a taxi, how all your experience basically having a taxi, and having taxi and taxi experience back in the days, it was horrible. It was like so it's not something that like you would do on a daily basis, and so as we started and working on the idea, on the software part, on the technology part, we realized that we either should launch the service ourselves, or we should provide a technical solution, or like focus on technology. The conclusion for us was easy, because we couldn't launch a service ourselves. Launching a service would require a lot of investments for every city, and a lot of operation also. So a lot of like overhead work just to not tech work, but operational work. And we didn't want to launch something local. We wanted to go global and make a larger impact. And it was just interesting and challenging for us. So we didn't have investors, we didn't have that much money, and we didn't have any experience running operations, all that. So we focused on technology, and we thought like, why don't we provide this service to other companies? Why I like to focus on that is that the basic idea didn't change since then. So we've been trying different customers, different segments, but the basic idea is that we provide the technology for entrepreneurs to run the ride-hailing service. And that's what stands behind Onde, and Onde is short for on demand, so we place well with the all on-demand verticals and sphere. So more or less like that.
Cool. Let's talk a bit more about the things that speak for the company. Why does Onde exist? I guess it comes back into the first question a little bit, but then maybe you can evolve a bit more about why does Onde exist?
It was really challenging to bring the product to the market and to go through all the steps, but what have been keeping us sort of engaged and motivated is the great demand that we saw from the market. So we had a number of customers all over the world. Also, we didn't limit ourselves to any specific geography. So we had customer or leads writing us all over the world, and asking for the product and telling their stories and telling us how the market there is so ready for that and so on. I think that what kept us engaged, and that what basically were driving the things that our decisions and our direction that we took with Onde, and formed us as a team is that this demand for the product like this, and the demand was first, important thing to emphasize that it was coming from business owners, entrepreneurs, right? So it wasn't large organizations that it wasn't a manager of large organization that needed to, solve some specific problem and buy this product. It was rather an entrepreneurs who would want to change something, who would want to launch something new. Most of them didn't have any money or significant amount of investments. So not like this is probably not the best way to approach your first customer base, but it played well, and a lot of them actually they managed to achieve great results almost from zero. So as Peter Thiel wrote, right, from 0 to 1, that's what entrepreneur does. And I think this spirit of what we as a company, we power entrepreneurship with technology. So the technology that we provide is not available anywhere else apart from the giants like Uber, Grab, 99, Didi, but their technology is proprietary. Obviously, they don't want to share it, and it worth a lot of money, billions of dollars, and we want to make this technology available for entrepreneurs who we believe also are in a better position to provide a great local service to the local community, to local customers. This is also probably based on the idea that taxi is a local human transportation is a local service, right? So you have so people mostly move inside one city.
Yeah.
Like they could travel between the cities on taxi, but it's not common. So it's more or less within the city. So it's kind of a local service, and so it plays well with the local entrepreneur running a local service.
And that being said as well, you mentioned all the big players. These are pretty much players that are in developed markets already. Would you say that Onde offers e-rides for emerging market players? Is that really the vision and target market that you guys have?
I think so. I think that the reason why we can claim that is that emerging markets have more opportunities to move quicker, right? So when we talk about launching a new service from scratch, you have to move fast in order to achieve some decent results, right, and decent numbers. And the developed market, most of the developed market, they have a ton of regulations when it comes to taxi, especially in Europe. There is just, the taxi market is just so protected. And developing markets, they don't have that. So they actually have an opportunity to move really, really fast. And only now we see that the countries, the governments, they want to influence that. They want to kind of be in charge of whole what is happening, or in some
to regulate things, basically. Yeah.
I would say that we saw a great demand. We saw a great rate of development from the emerging markets, and if for us it makes sense to focus on those markets in order to make a great impact.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's talk a bit more about the company culture. Of course, that comes from the grassroots levels. It comes from the co-founders like yourself. What would you say you and your other co-founders bring into the culture of Onde?
So we are originally we are three co-founders in Onde, and all of us are really different in terms of our experience and personalities. So that means that many times we've been pulling in the opposite directions, basically. So and what I came to realize is that this happens because of the different way we view things. So when we start to, let's say, take a decision on something, right, and we have we basically cannot agree on something on that decision, and then what I realized is that we see the subject totally differently, you know. And so first we like sit and discuss, like align ourselves about the subject, and then we can, you know, take a decision and agree on something. So that also influenced, you know, I think culture in the company a lot, because every one of us were pulling in the kind of the other direction, and it's not necessarily bad. Like Igor, for example, he's very he like to make things perfect. He likes perfect code, and like if he doesn't like the code, then the developers suffer. They
You gotta scrap everything.
yeah. Like he just sells like delete everything right from scratch, you know, and all that. So and I'm from my side, I like to move faster. So I like, let's release what we have, and then we'll improve along the way, and let's hire more developers, you know. So I'm kind of contradicting the way he does business, but this contradiction, it brings the system into balance. We have a great code, and if we were not like if we were not fighting to hire the best people, to like if Igor wouldn't be pulling towards hiring like the best people and towards the better code, we definitely would be having more technical problems and less reliable platform, because I would be pulling towards, let's hire more people, let's hire faster, you know, let's develop things faster and all that. And yeah, so I think that yeah, coming back to the culture, right? So we have I think the kind of the conclusion would be that we try to build culture from the point of view that we have to develop and we have to provide a great product and a great service to our customers, even though it is extremely hard and it's sometimes feels impossible or unnecessary, and it's not the way maybe a lot of our guys used to work before in other companies, you know, especially when it's an outsourcing companies who are doing product for other companies. It's not the same as you work for your own product, you know, and so we try to build the culture around that, around delivering great stuff, building great product, and providing a great service, and having fun and staying, you know, positive, staying human while doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess those are all quite important elements. I guess you complement each other in different ways, for sure.
Yeah.
Given the various partners or the hundreds of partners that we have all around the world, what would you say unites Onde partners together?
And the main thing I think is what I mentioned previously, is that this entrepreneurial spirit. All of them are strong in their own ways, and they're very motivated, and they bring their motivation and entrepreneurial kind of force to the table. And that's what actually keeps us all alive, I think, is because we don't have external investors, right? So we are profitable business because of our partners, who are also profitable because of their entrepreneurial spirit, and obviously because of the platform. So, but the platform is just a tool, it's an enabler, right? So the first comes the spirit, and they were able to build their profitable businesses from scratch, basically. Some of them achieved that in a quite short period time span. So it's another thing that also motivates me, and I think a lot of people also in our team, is that we are proud of our partners and the way they do things, the way they were able to achieve such great results in a short period of time. Yeah, what was the question about? I already
Let's
forgot.
go back. No, you basically answered my next question. But obviously, does this reflect in the main principles of Onde? And obviously, the company as a whole follows these principles, I would say, on a daily routine.
It's hard to say what we're like, which principles we are following on daily routine. I think it's more first obviously is to provide a great service, because we are a backbone of the actual operational service that transports people around the globe, and people depend on us, right? So millions of people, everyday travelers, depend on how we provide service on a daily basis. So that's very important. The other thing is that the product at the current stage. So entrepreneur is never proud of the product. It's like on camera or publicly, we definitely say positive things, but as an entrepreneur, you always want to improve your product, improve your service, right? So we actually live in the future, meaning that the things that we are working on today are gonna be released later, and also will have their impact even later, right? So they will have the impact 2 years from today. And if we stay efficient today and every day, then these 2 years could become 1 year, right? And our partners obviously want them to become half a year every day. So I think that's what comprises of our everyday spirit and general culture. Pursue to be efficient, to release great stuff and make an impact faster. Bring great things to life faster.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, of course, obviously with technology, we're always striving to improve all the time. And like you said, our clients are always expecting the most of us. So of course, we try to deliver as much as possible when we can. Of course, it's always good to plan. And like you said, we hope that that's reflected in the years and the months to come as we build on and go into the future. Now, of course, you know that there are many players in the market. What would you say to potential partners for the future, given the market saturation? Is there still room for them to grow? Is there still room for newcomers to join the market? Maybe a bit more about the evolution of the ride-hailing market.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. The way I see it now is that there are monopolies on the market, and they are the largest players: Uber, Grab, Lyft, 99. I mean, sometimes they are not monopolies, like they are competing. Like in US, you got Uber and Lyft. They are competing to each other, but they are both giants. So there's still a ton of room, even in the US, for smaller players, for a different kind of service, right? So you can differentiate based on the type of vehicles or type of customers. What we see is there's still a ton of space on the market, and a lot of areas they are either don't have any sort of dominant player yet, or if there is a dominant player, there's always a room for another player on the market. And why I am also very sure about that is that we constantly have new partners who join our platform, and they come from very different locations, both from new locations where from the locations where there is no one, no ride-hailing service or no dominant player, as well as from the locations where there is already Uber or Grab or anyone else. And they manage to grow the service basically from 0 to decent numbers. To put an example on the table, we had in Brazil, the market seems to be really tough. Like there is a Chinese player, Didi, that joined forces with 99. There is a conglomerate of Cabify, Taxi, Easy Taxi, right, and Tapsi, I think the third one. There is Uber. So the competition is really tough there. But we had 2 customers who grew to really decent, successful numbers from, they didn't start in the capital or larger cities. They grew from the smaller cities, not too small, obviously. Brazil still has a lot of
massive population.
Yeah. And they managed to grow basically out of nowhere. So we definitely didn't expect them to do that. And this is really inspiring, I think, for, so if you are a future partner and considering joining, definitely do that. Definitely still a lot of room in the market. But what I also think important to look at is the different types of services, or the different kinds of services that you can realize with the Onde platform. And I think this is also where our future is to differentiate in the types of on-demand services. We want to take it step by step, so not rushing too much. First, make a perfect ride-hailing platform, then move to another verticals. So right now we are working on the delivery vertical, and planning to provide the delivery solution, white label delivery solutions to other customers.
Is that something that you want to have in combination with the ride hailing as well, or is that an option as well for clients to be able to choose between one or the other?
Yeah, it can be both. It can be either, or it can be both, basically. Yeah. The other interesting vertical. Well, the transportation industry is taking a really interesting turn now. There's this VTOLs, right, flying copters.
Yeah.
That are booming now. A lot of companies, they went public this year. So and electric vehicles, they are all over the place. You know, every company is like struggling to compete with Tesla now. So it's I think the market is really hard, and it's really it's moving fast, and it's alive, which means that the services themselves also can change, can adjust, and it's a good time to try something new, to try and launch something that people will like, I think.
So that would be your advice as well for future partners coming aboard, that there's that opportunity to kind of go into, you know, different service types, offering different options for clients as well as drivers.
Entrepreneurs. So basically, I want our partners to do, you know, entrepreneurial things. What entrepreneurs do best is that try to find the how to make service great for their riders, for their drivers, and we try to provide a technical tool for that.
Okay, great. Now going back a bit, maybe more onto the inspiration side. Of course, there are a lot of famous people out there. I know that you're quite an avid reader. So who inspires you? Where do you get your inspiration from?
Interesting, interesting topic. So I read quite a lot of books. I mostly listen. I think mostly listen than reading. I try to read more, but listening works well because I do it while I run or bike or drive a car. So that's a lot of time, and so books. Audiobooks play very well for me. I think my path here started from Richard Branson, I think. So he's been an inspiring figure for me from early days, probably my 20s, beginning of 20s. What inspired me is that he's always so positive, and he's always like an easygoing guy, and while staying like that, he managed to grow a huge what would you call it, a company group, right, or brand. So what I'm trying to learn from him is the delegation techniques, or I don't know, it's not even technique, it's like philosophy probably, and the philosophy of like staying positive, enjoying the process of doing stuff. It's quite an opposite to, I think, how we started. We've been more like struggling through the startup, and
I think he struggled as well, Richard Branson. I mean, in the beginning, he's created a lot of brands. I mean, he has his global brand now, but he also tried a lot of different companies that started and flopped. But at the same time, like you said, he's managed to stay positive throughout his legacy, I would say, and he's touched, I would say, many consumers on a great level.
Yeah, definitely. So there is a Russian entrepreneur, Alektinkov. He's also an interesting guy, and I read some of his books at my early age.
Not that old yet.
Yeah, When I sort of was starting my entrepreneurial path, and I also admired him because he's I would say a great entrepreneur, but he's also a very like straightforward person. He doesn't care that much about like the language that he speaks. Probably, I mean, like I guess he's like more open in that terms. And what I also admired about him is that he's doing sports, and he managed to like do it together with his business, and he pursue the idea that it's that both are kind of equally important, or even sport more important. So lately Elon Musk was also an interesting figure, but I guess like it's overhyped. So I read the book about his not autobiography, but his biography, right? And it's definitely an interesting read and gives some perspective into how things were developing for him and for his PayPal mafia. And so yeah, definitely an interesting. What I like about him is that he's an engineer, and he even though the company, he stays engineer in the company for quite a long time, and he always challenges people to do things differently than everyone is used to do.
Yeah,
like
it's challenging the status quo.
And it's not just something like daily, but he's just like, okay, space computers, they cost like 10 times the normal computers. Let's send the normal computer to space and see what happens, you know. It's like that. So like challenging, like how can you challenge the NASA? Like, the NASA is doing the space computers wrong. Let's do it differently, you know. So it's definitely an inspiring thing, an inspiring way of kind of doing things. Also, I'm not sure how he's doing so much stuff, like so many businesses. That's I think there's some weird stuff going on there. So I'm.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite difficult, obviously, to handle so many different companies that he has. But how do you balance that?
I keep one company. That's how. I mean, yeah.
But going back to the people that inspired you, you said it's important to have this balance, obviously, between work and obviously leisure,
yeah.
and making sure that's.
When you are starting, it's impossible. You gotta sacrifice something, but like when you're just starting, and when you are on a path, on a growth path, or you know, when the success is not even on visible, you gotta sacrifice. You have to work a lot, and then the question is what you're gonna sacrifice, right? So you can sacrifice like your relationship, family, or sport, or personal development, all that. Normally it's everything, but but yeah. But I try to balance between the most important things, probably, during that path. And but later I realized that definitely I need to be more active, to have better nutrition, to be able to perform better, and all that. And just for to feel better, and just to live a healthier life. So the solution is to try to delegate as Richard Branson. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is hard.
I bet, yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, among those famous people, and also probably, I know that, like I said before, you're quite an avid reader. What would you say would be your recommended books to some of our viewers?
I think there's quite a lot of business literature, which I don't uh, which I don't consider as a core read. I think so. I probably I would prefer classic, and I would recommend The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. The other famous book, Atlas Shrugged, of the same author, is probably great as well, but I'm only like on a 20% of it, so can't recommend it yet. But the Fountainhead is definitely one of the best books, and the book that really gives a lot of inspiration and yeah, things to like it character building book, I would say. Yeah, there's a lot of business literature out there, but and many of those books are great, and I read a lot of them. Also because it's easy to listen, like the business language is much easier to comprehend by listening than classics.
It's more easily formulated, I guess, when you're listening to it. Yeah, for sure.
But I would start with the basics. Yeah, one of the great books that I've read a long time ago was Daniel Carnegie. Is it Daniel? Mm-hmm. Is it? Yeah. How to Make Friends and Influence People. I think it's called this way.
I'm not so sure of the title, but yeah,
right.
It does sound familiar.
So yeah, it's a crazy title, like how to make friends. But the book is not about that. You know, it's like there's a lot of great ideas in that book, and I still kind of use the techniques from it in order to be a better listener, better person, and understand your opponent or your friends better, all that. The other one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki, I think it's called. So it's definitely also a great read. Definitely puts a lot of new ways how you should view money and jobs and all that. Really interesting how he easily describes like why some people make more money and how jobs are different, and I mean it's very obvious things that you knew, but now when he puts it into perspective, you kind of get a better idea of what is money and how people are paid for the job and well, all that.
Okay, great. I think that's almost it with all my questions. Thank you very much, Eugene. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks for having me.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.